To me, motivation is kind of a weird concept. I hear a lot of people with their own different kind of takes on it, their own solutions, their own strategies when it comes to staying motivated. When it comes down to it, I don't think you can have endless motivation. I don't think it's possible to really have this burst of inspiration that'll lead you to be motivated infinitely, forever, and always kind of want to get something done. I think to a degree there is a bit of discipline that sort of is required in order to accomplish a goal. I think at some point you have to kind of sit there and understand that in order to accomplish something, you're gonna have to do the prerequisites to accomplish the goal, even if you don't want to do it. For example, I always use fitness as an example because I think it's something that is relatively relatable to most people, at least conceptually. If you want to get in better shape, you might watch a documentary like Pumping Iron with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you might get inspired for a brief period of time, maybe a day, maybe a week, maybe if you're lucky, even a month. But that inspiration and that motivation will not last forever. There is a point where all that will run out, it'll run dry. So the thing you need to do is you need to stay disciplined enough to go to the gym. And I'm not even one of those people that take it to the extremes. I'm not one of those people that will say 100% of the time, no matter how bad you feel, you should do something. I'm not one of those people who don't think that's effective. I think in reality, there is no human alive that will always do something that they don't feel like doing. Does that make sense? Sometimes I see different like entrepreneurs and these productivity videos, and the people in the video will say, you must do the work even if you don't feel like it. But the reality is that there are some days where you're not going to feel like it, and you probably shouldn't do the work. You probably should just relax, and you should probably just take it easy, and you should probably just be comfortable. Because in reality, the amount of effort you're putting in to pushing yourself to get something done and kind of pushing against your lack of inspiration or your lack of motivation, the more you kind of push against it, sometimes the worse off you're going to be. You're not going to produce any quality work. Because in reality, some of those times when you don't feel like working is probably the time when you really should not be working. Imagine you're trying to get a project done and you're exhausted mentally. You are fatigued. You just don't feel like doing the work. If you were to listen to some of these gurus' advice where they say, just do the work anyway, even if you don't feel like it, just be disciplined, you will produce lower quality work. And in some instances, depending on what you're doing, the quality of the work might be so low that it's actually detrimental to the work you've done previously. Again, take fitness as an example. There are some days where you don't feel like going to the gym, and you probably shouldn't go to the gym. And you might not feel good because you might be burnt out from working out. You might be overtraining, and by you forcing yourself to work out in those conditions, you might actually compromise form, or you might compromise safety, or just make bad decisions, and that could lead to injury, which could destroy the progress you've made prior. So I'm not one of those people that say 100% of the time you need to just push past when you're not feeling good or when you don't feel like it. There are some instances when you won't feel like it, and you should just stop, and you should just not do the thing. I will say 80% of the time, you should just do the thing, because I think most of the time you think you don't feel like it, when in reality, you just are just being lazy. And that's okay. You can be lazy sometimes, but most of the time, don't be lazy. And I know it's difficult to kind of, it's hard to kind of sit there and figure out, well, when should I be lazy and when should I not be lazy? I know, it's a very tough situation to kind of be in. This is the way I think about it. First of all, there's two things I'm going to share with you. The first thing, when it comes to determining when you should work and when you shouldn't work, did you get the main thing done? And did you get it done enough? Take, for example, if you're a business owner, and say your goal is to generate 100 leads this week. Let's just use an easy number and say 100. If you did 95, or if you did 90, or if you did 80, and that is satisfactory enough to you, and you got the goal complete that you wanted to, then take the break. If that last 20 is really such a grind and such a struggle, and you find it almost impossible to kind of do whatever you need to do to get those leads, then stop. Just don't do it then. And some people are going to say, well, you're not being realistic, or it's not going to be competitive. There's some other people that will do the last 20. And sure, there are people that will do the last 20. But I think my thought process is, does it matter? Does it matter? Does it really in the long run hurt your business if they get the extra 20? Does that take 20 people away from you? What if everything else you're doing is far better than them and they got that extra 20 people, but in a week, because you're refreshed and because you're doing things properly and efficiently, when they're trying to just grind and push themselves past the limits, what if the quality of work you put out is so high quality that you just end up taking the customers from them anyway? Then it doesn't really matter, right? Your efforts haven't been, overall, the results haven't been diminished. Does that make sense? So I do think there's an issue of quality over quantity. And that's why I say there's a balance between doing the thing and doing it too much. Hopefully that helped in some way. The other thing I like to consider when it comes to being motivated, because sometimes some people I find don't get motivated at all. And that's an issue when you have zero motivation or you can't maintain enough motivation to get anything done. My personal belief is this: you need to sit there and think about, what do you have to lose if you don't accomplish the goal? I'll tell a quick story. Years ago, I used to work at a law firm, and I actually liked the job a lot. It was a good job. I liked the law firm, I liked the people in the law firm. The work wasn't super stressful. The pay was really good. And I ended up quitting. And the reason why I ended up quitting, and most people found this baffling. They were all said to me, "Why would you quit? It's such a good job. It was like a nice office job. It was cozy. It was comfortable. You got paid really well. You got nice bonuses, all kinds of benefits, whatever." All the true. But the reason why I quit is because I saw myself in 10 years never leaving that law firm. The quality of life that I would have had in the future was barely any different than the quality of life that I had in the past at that time when I was at the law firm. Does that make sense? And that scared me. The idea of not changing or not growing or not improving. It was such a boring, mundane, mediocre existence, this future version of myself that I saw, that I realized I had to come up with some kind of plan or some kind of goal or just something that would force me to leave. And that in itself led to me being super motivated to find a business partner, and I eventually started a company called Affinity. That led to the motivation of that, because I was so afraid of the end result of not changing. I was motivated, and I was motivated heavily. Like literally every single day I'd sit there and think about, I need to get out of here, I need to get out of here. And again, it had nothing to do with the company itself. It had nothing to do with the law firm, nothing to do with the people. It had everything to do with me seeing myself in the future and being terrified of what that future looked like. And I think more people need to have kind of a thought process like this. If you're the kind of person, again, let's take fitness. If you're the kind of person who has a goal to work out, what will happen in, say, 5 to 10 years if you don't accomplish your goal? What does that future look like to you? If the future is acceptable, then continue doing whatever it is you're doing. That's completely fine. If the future is terrifying, then you know what you need to do. You need to go to the gym. You need to fix it. And if it doesn't terrify you, that future, then you probably should have a different goal. Maybe you're not setting the right kind of goal. If you, like me personally right now, I'm super motivated by going to the gym because I have a certain standard of what I look like. If I'm not in a certain physical shape, I'm really upset. I'm disappointed with myself. I can't live with myself by not being in a certain physical shape. And so I see myself in the future not accomplishing my goal. I see myself in the future not getting as strong as I want to be, or as muscular as I want to be, or being as aesthetic or in as low body fat as I want to be. And even though in the grand scheme of reality, this version of myself is still better than average, it's not up to my standards. And by not hitting my standards, it terrifies me. So I have to do it. I'm super motivated to get done the thing I want to get done. Does that make sense? So you got to do the same thing for yourself. You got to figure out exactly what goal you want to set, where by not achieving the outcome, it's so terrifying and so distressful that you can't do anything else but get the job done, no matter how bad you feel. And to me, that is really what creates the motivation. I think otherwise, you're just going to try to create motivation out of inspiration, and I think that's fine. Being inspired, I think that's completely fine. But motivation from inspiration does not last very long. It's super fleeting. It lasts for a day or maybe a week at best. So reverse engineer your own fears. Figure out what terrifies you. Look forward and see a future that is frightening to you. And sit there and think to yourself, how do I create this future? And once you figure out how you create that future, don't do it. don't do the things that led to that future. Do the opposite of those things. If you like the video, hit the like button, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts, share with me what you think about this overall topic, if you are going to implement this into your own life and what you think about this idea as a whole. And finally, hit the subscribe button. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to grow my audience. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So by subscribing to the channel, you will help me accomplish that goal, and I will thank you immensely. But until next time, my name is Leviticus Rich. Keep killing it.